about their brand and their communication.
Exactly. I am, but what I'm doing is I'm talking to them from a soul level first, because your soul level is what informs your identity.
Exactly.
Your identity is what informs the basics, the absolute minimum foundational fundamental level of your brand. You cannot even begin to have any impact, influence, or even increase your income until that bit is sorted out. So
Right.
that's that. So I take them through a process that's quite practical, and they think that they're just writing lovely words on a piece of paper, and then at the end I kind of hit them with it. Like, you know, I must be honest. I'm going to full transparency. If my clients don't cry, I've not done my job. Not done my job. If they don't cry, nah.
Yeah. You're like, I'm not reaching you yet.
Yeah, we're not there yet. Yeah, we're not there yet. So yeah, that's just a word of warning.
Right. Right. So speaking about broken and I hate the term broken. When people say this, it really, really bugs me, because what I do know as someone who used to write, I don't really write now. Language is important.
Very.
Right. And so the one thing that I love to really hone in on with people is the story we're telling ourselves about ourselves, right?
Yeah.
Like, what is the story you're telling yourself about yourself? Because that also is what also trips you up. And a lot of times those stories come from people who are themselves have been wounded and not healed. And so they're passing their pain on to you. So what would you say about language? And because all of that, it's very interesting to me. I love how you brought together, like, at the soul level, and because that's very true. Like, at who you are at your soul level, your purpose is what informs your brand and how you present it to the world, right? So language is very, very important. So what do you tell people on the soul level about the language that they use, which also informs their brand language?
Absolutely. So my whole process, my kind of first step, if you like, process is called standing up in your own hallelujah. Okay. And it does exactly what it says on the tin. It helps people to stand up in their own hallelujah. And just the use of that word hallelujah, most of us can identify with having a hallelujah moment, the freedom that brings, the joy that brings. And that's exactly what happens when people go through their process through working with me. They find their hallelujah moment. And we do that through finding the language that resonates with them. And I have a whole process that takes them through so that they can find their language. This isn't something, and I'll be really honest, I don't create this stuff for you. I'm only the facilitator. You guys create this stuff yourself. You know, I'm just the guy. Look, we all know the story. There's this really infamous business story about a guy who owned a factory, and one day it broke down, and it broke down. So they all tried to fix it, couldn't fix it. It was losing literally hundreds and thousands of dollars a day because this factory had stopped working. So eventually he had to call in the engineer. So as the engineer comes in, takes a look at it, and he says to the guy, right, that's going to cost you let's say $10,000. Okay. So the guy says, $10,000. You know what? I don't care. I just need this factory back up and running. So yeah, fine. Let's just do it. So the guy flicks a switch and he says, right, here's my invoice. And suddenly the factory owner's like, what the hell? You know, all you did was flick a switch. He said, yes, it's $1 to flick the switch, and it's $9,999 for knowing which switch to flick.
Right, right.
Right. Okay. And that's me. I'm that engineer. I know which switch to flip when it comes to language. That question right at the very beginning, you asked me, who are you really? So when people respond with the definition of their job title, it doesn't tell you anything. It just tells you what they do, but it doesn't tell you who they are. When you work from that space of who they are, and they've got their whole defining language set, I call it their power library, Because once you've got that power library of vocab, oh my goodness, that should be appearing everywhere. It should appear on your social media posts. It should appear in all your website copy. When you're even making posts on Twitter, you'll notice, now that you guys know this stuff about me, you're going to go back through my posts and you'll notice there's a consistent language and tone, and there's certain words that appear time and time again in my posts.
Right. So where were you, can you recall, where were you or what were you doing the moment you had the aha of, oh, Gayle, this is who you are and this is what you should be doing? And how old were you?
55. You're still
like, were you like sitting, like for me, like for example, for me, I was in the middle of an ashram, and it's really crazy because I've kind of known what I was supposed to be doing for a very long time. I was afraid of it. And I was like, I can't do that. And I'm like, who's gonna listen to me? Who? And I remember laying on the floor in Shavasana, because my first month at the ashram, I would have panic attacks in Shavasana, which is the most relaxing pose you can be in, but not for me. I have a panic attacks in Shavasana. And I remember I was doing Tiryakasana, which is the twisting pose where you twist your back a little and you're laying down. And I remember I just started boohooing in the middle of the pose. Wow. And I realized, oh my God, this is it. That's why people were drawn to me constantly, even when I didn't know what the hell was going on. They would come to me with their heaviest of burdens. And I was getting tired because I'm like, why am I holding people's burdens? I wasn't supposed to really be holding their burdens. My purpose was to help them let go of it, right? So I didn't know what I was doing. So where were you when you realized this is what it is? Where were you? What was the experience? What happened to your brain? Was it or was it more like, oh, well, I knew that?
No. So I suppose I've always loved people, and throughout my business, I've always run networks, and I'm very much a community person. And I had given a speech at a networking event, one Christmas actually. And this woman came up to me at the event and she went, oh my gosh, that was such a fantastic speech. I'd love to be a speaker like you. And I thought, what? What did I even say? Yeah. I thought, not to have that much of an effect on her, so much that, she came up to me, she made it very clear that she loved the speech, but then she really wanted to work with me. And up to that point, I was a coach, but most of my clients were business growth clients, marketing clients, communications, not really the personal branding kind of stuff that I do so much of today. Right. Even though that was an element of my work, it wasn't as much, it wasn't the major part, whereas now it's like the major part of my work. And I just realized just how easy it was just to attract that one client.
Right.
But you see, we don't always learn our lessons immediately though, do we? So I did that and I thought, wow, that was really easy. And then I was working with another client, and in working with another client, I had this idea, this way of working as an idea. And I tried to give it to her. I thought, no. This would be really good for you. Take this, right. And she kind of sat with it for quite a long time. And while she was sitting with it, I just thought, do you know what? I created it. I'm just going to speak to someone about this and someone about. So I found that I was incorporating more of it into my own work. And then funny enough, out of the blue, one day, she just rang me up and she said, Gayle, do you know what? I'm not really feeling this personal branding stuff, I think it's more you.
Wow.
And that was the aha moment, because that's when I realized that I was trying to hide from my own light. So I had the revelation and I gave it to someone else.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
and she brought it right
All
back.
the time, sis. All the time.
Really,